I am a brisk and bonny lad and free from
Letting it go now.
strife, and sweetly as the hours pass I love a country
That
As they compare I'm often there midst pleasures to be seen. Though poor I am contented and as happy as a queen.
I met an old boy. He saw it working, and he tells me that the donkey saw the bucket out the corner of his eye, and when he saw it, he stopped.
Right.
And he was told to walk on or walk back to line up one of these 4 doorways. And then he was told to step off, and he stepped off with his back legs, leaving his front legs on the wheel. And when they told him to walk on, he walked on in the other direction.
Or maybe they used humans to do it.
Fred says he remembers when he was a lad, it used to be walked up by people, not by the donkey.
Here's a health to the jolly blacksmith, the best of all fellows, who works at his anvil while the boy blows the bellows, which makes his bright hammer to rise and to fall. There's the old coal and the young coal and the old coal of...
When you have your hay rick, what's happening in the middle of the rick? So if you rick your hay when it's too wet, it'll start to
go off.
It'll go off.
Yeah.
And Thomas Hardy spontaneously combusts, so it can actually go up. If it's too dry but wet enough, it'll go. So what's happening in the middle of the rick? So you drove one of these into the middle of the rick, left it there for a while, pulled it out, went...
That's hot.
or not. She's got a little barb on the end, so she'd pull a sample out from the middle of the rick so you can smell it.
I want to see what's
Is it
going
sweet?
on. Is it sweet? Is it going off? No.
And this is a needle, and this is looking for a needle.
Twanky dillo, twanky dillo, twanky dillo, 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 and a roaring...
I just love cartwheels. I mean, again, silly things that just make perfect... You sort of don't think... The wheel's built with a dish, which means that when your bottom spoke's vertical, your axles, your hub's running onto your axle, because your axle will face
downwards,
because of the dishing of the wheel.
Yeah.
Right.
It also meant that you get a better steering lock.
Oh right, yeah, because
They're more severe. Yeah.
And also you could get slope batter out the side, so you could get more in it.
Because
But
all
then-
the hay wains are splayed, aren't they?
Yeah. But then when you look at that, you end up with your spoke at one angle.
And
That's
so I've
mortise-
offset it back and mortised it back so it's
The
gone back
tenon,
vertical again.
to go back vertical. And then your fellies, you've got a peg on one end, a hole at the other, but when you look at the spacing, because the spoke's radius out, those holes match perfectly.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Internally.
They won't.
Jesus, that's a long way out as well, isn't it?
But when you put it on,
It's one of those, isn't it? That's
you have to put it on like that.
Yeah.
And how does that
work
locate in
into
that
there.
on the next one?
How does that work then?
Tool called a Samson that bends those
That
two.
bends them together.
Put it just on the end.
Yeah.
Put it just on the end. Put it just on the end. Then start tapping in, tapping in,
And ease them in as you go, as long as you bring them in together.
and then the gap will close up, and the peg will go in the hole.
So that must have taken years and years of doing it again and again and again
Trial
and
and
again.
error.
Wow.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I love that offset detail on there.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
That's brilliant.
Because you've got elm, because it resists splitting. You've got oak, because of its strength,
Yeah.
and then you've got ash, because of the spring.
Flex,
You've got everything in the
So you've chosen 3 timbers based on their properties to make the
A
wheel.
gentleman calls with his horse to be shoed. He will make no denial to one pot or two, which makes his bright hammer to rise and to fall.
Again, because you've made the wheel with a dish, but you want to run on a flat surface, the wheel's actually slightly cone shaped.
Is it cone?
So it's bigger diameter there than it is.
There's the old coal and the young coal and the old coal of all. Twanky dillo, twanky dillo, twanky dillo, 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 dillo. And a roll.
So when you're thinking welding in this day wasn't 2 bits of metal bottom up, get the arc out and stick it together. Welding was take 2 bits of metal to be on cherry red, lay them on top of each other,
Just beat them together.
hit them with a hammer until they believe they won.
Pair of blowpipes made from the green willow. Here's a health to that pretty girl, the one I love best, who kindles her fire all in her own breast, which makes his bright hammer to rise and to fall.
Again, when you think about cutting on a kit, so as you're making that cut, when you get to there,
Oh, you've got to, yeah. What
you've got to stop.
you rolling it? Is that?
So then you want to get that cut, so the bottom handle could then come off. It had a box handle on the bottom and the tiller handle on the top.
Right.
So you then need to get that cut to the other side of the bearer.
So that. That's great.
Put it in
Then
the
all
cut,
this straight back.
put
Yeah,
your
yeah.
bottom handle on,
And off you go again.
Right, yeah,
keep
yeah.
cutting to there.
And then roll back the other way.
Again, back over, yeah.
Coal and the young coal and the old coal of all. Twanky dillo, twanky dillo, twanky dillo, 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 dillo. And a roaring pair of blowpipes made from the green willow. Was of a brisk young ploughboy, come listen to this refrain.
It's better than that.
And join
Because when
with
you
me in chorus and sing.
There's a rim lock in there.
Yeah.
So you're doing a rim lock, and then when you throw the bolt, and
You
that,
can't actually get at the
she's got a ward plate to cover.
over the same top and bottom down there as well. So what? Who or what were they keeping in there that they didn't want anyone to get at?
You know, I always said, you know, it's got a slate roof, which it's had since the Victorian time. So if you put me in there facing deportation,
Yeah.
you can put what you like on the door.
I'm getting out the sleep.
I'm going
As soon
up.
as you've gone to sleep.
He whistles, sings and drives his plough, the brave ploughboy. So early in the morning the ploughboy he is seen, all hastening to his stable, his horses for to lead.
When you think about emptying a sack, you couldn't empty all the grain out of it, so you'd always have a bit of grain. And a rat would smell it, and he'd eat
straight
through
in.
however many layers of sacking he took to get the grain. If you hang them on a string,
Can't get it, can he?
No.
Their manes and tails he does come straight with chaff and...
I mean, you've got the stallion stall. You've got this beautiful built-in secret latch.
That's great.
Still working.
Look at that.
Built into the door, and you can see a section of an old limb of a cartwheel.
Just
But they've
Well, you
tried
had to
holding
get
it
it to
together,
brace it.
and that didn't work. And in the end, they put
Put a latch on.
hook and eye on it. And I reckon the stallion worked out if you got the hook and eye.
He could rock it out. Belt and braces.
Have you understand it?
Silly things like this. Obviously, stunningly interesting. A bit of wood with a hole in it that somebody has chamfered
Yeah.
every single corner. So what is it? And can you just see the circle there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That tells you the story. So when I tie a horse up in here, I've got two choices. I tie him up so he can't move, and he's stuck here, or I tie him up so he can move, but when he comes back, he's got a loose length that he can get a foot stuck in.
Right. Yeah.
So if I pass the vein through there
Put that as a weight.
and tie it on the end of the block, then when he's stood by the manger, it's there, and when he walks back,
So that over time is doing that.
Keep turning over, the fields look fresh and gay. There's merry lads to mow the grass, while damsels make the hay.
I've seen one of them before.
It's a cart jack.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right.
You got no suspension, so put that under the thing.
Just go like that. Lifts
Pull it up.
They used to. I think they made wooden ones of those, didn't they?
Harvest does draw near, and after he does welcome us with plenty of beef and beer.
But as you say, how many years of thinking about it?
It's that thing that's captured in these. It's hard to kind of get across without looking at these bits and bobs. It's really.
But that then all died, didn't it? This is what we're trying to investigate: is all the things that were passed down orally from father to son and all the rest of it. Then died. So then a lot of that has vanished, apart from you sort of suss. It's like you have to be some sort of detective, isn't it?
But also you do tours and you meet people like,
yeah,
you know, your old man, your gramps would
yeah.
Old boys come to the open day and
they will fill you in.
They tell you some stories.
Yeah.
We all sit round to drink a beer, while peace and plenty fills the year, and we'll be merry while we are here, and drink to the
The problem is we're losing.
That is.
And you've got it with, you go up to Beamish, up in County Durham, and you go down the mine, and the people who used to take down the mine used to be miners.
Yeah. So they're right, still on it. Still.
They were telling the story of mining when they were, and that's gone now. Cause
I think that's what we're sussing. It's the stuff with Bob as well. That it's the way we pass stuff down was in stories. It's the stories around it. It's no in a textbook, or if you showed the block out there, the stable block, you'd never really get that across without the narrative around it and explaining on the stallion door. It's the story around it, the kind of thought that, and that's that comes from that oral, that just telling that over and over and over and over again.
Now harvest being over, we start the plough once more. Our master has invited us, unlocks his cellar door. With cake and ale we have our...
I've mentioned Stan 2 or 3 times. Stan used to tell a brilliant story. He was a classic old boy.
Yeah.
So during the war, two bombers came past and they dropped bombs on their way back from London, and that knocked all the slates off one elevation of the barn. And the cows were in it, and one cow had a small cut on it. Other than that, all those slates came into the barn around the cows, and they weren't injured. And he said that was Friday. And I said, how do you know it was Friday? He said, because on Thursday I washed the windows in. If I would have known, I wouldn't have bloody bothered.
Because we've done our work so well, and there's no one can despise the skill of the brave ploughboy.